Federal student loans started accruing interest again on September 1st, and payments will be due starting in October. Okay, so now let's get into it. Many of you might be thinking, but we heard our student loan debt was being forgiven. I hear this all the time when qualifying clients, so I want to make sure and get the word out. The interest-free payment pause, known as forbearance, began as an emergency pandemic measure in response to the COVID-19 pandemic in March 2020 under President Trump. 3 years and 9 extensions later, renewed student loan bills could come as a shock to nearly 44 million borrowers with federal loans. And borrowers who left school in 2020 or later will need to gear up for their very first ever student loan payments. On June 30th, 2023, the Supreme Court blocked President Joe Biden's student debt cancellation plan, saying his administration lacked authorization under the HEROES Act to forgive up to $20,000 in student loan debt per borrower. Biden said he'd pursue other forgiveness options, but payments will become due in the meantime. After the Supreme Court issued its ruling, the Biden administration announced a 12-month on-ramp transition period for borrowers after payments resume. During that period, borrowers will have time to adapt to the new payments without the risk of their loans being sent to collections or entering default. Biden said in a press conference, and I quote, "During this period, if you can pay your monthly bills, you should. But if you cannot, if you miss payments, this on-ramp temporarily removes the threat of default of having your credit harmed, which can hurt borrowers for years to come." I do not recommend this. Interest began accruing on September 1st. So if you continue to skip or miss the payment, you just keep adding more interest to the balance. And this debt grows larger and larger every month. The sooner you continue to pay, the sooner you get rid of the debt. Let's chat about what student loan debt does to someone wanting to buy a home. I have been seeing the average student loan debt of about $50,000 to $60,000. As a mortgage lender, we have been counting a payment against you even though no payment has been required. We all know that eventually you have to pay the piper. So at some point when payments come due, like now, we have to make sure you can afford the house payment and your student loan payments too. Since the credit reports have shown no payment due, we have been following the secondary market guidelines. On a Fannie Mae loan, we hit you with a 1% of the balance payment. On FHA, VA, and Freddie Mac loans, the payment factor is 0.5%. So let's look at a scenario. We have a client which has $60,000 student loan debt. If we are using Fannie Mae, the monthly payment we would count is $600. Freddie Mac, VA, and FHA would be $300. Going forward, we will be using the calculated amounts on the credit report, or if none is listed, the above mentioned payment factors. These are the standard guidelines. There are some extenuating circumstances that could adjust these payments, like, documented forbearance or deferment plans. Bringing this back around to mortgages, as I have mentioned in previous videos, the rule of thumb is that for every $100 that you pay in monthly debt payments, it reduces the amount you qualify for a home by $10,000. So the $600 monthly payment reduces your home purchase by $60,000. The quicker you pay down or off this student loan, the more home you qualify for. My message to you today is, if you went to college, whether it be a university or any other further education program, and took out student loans to pay for it, please, please, please Don't stick your head in the sand and think you can ignore the repayment of this debt. Student loans are federal debts and can tank your credit fast if timely payments are not made, or worse yet, end up in collections. If you haven't already reached out to your student loan servicer, do that now. Chat with them about your repayment options. If you don't know who might be servicing your loan, pull up your credit report. It will be listed there, and you can also reach out to any of the 3 repositories for more contact information, or reach out to me and I can try and help you figure it out. For more tips about credit, join me on this video where I talk about what makes up your credit score.